All right, today we are diving into something I think a lot of us have gone through but maybe don't really understand. We're talking about that urge to just completely withdraw from your social life when stress gets to be too much. Let's get into it.
So have you ever done this? You just go quiet. You start ignoring texts from people you actually care about, you cancel plans, you let your phone ring and ring, not because you're mad, but because you literally just don't have the energy to deal with it. If that's hitting home for you, trust me, you are not alone.
Okay, so let's start by looking at this whole thing a little differently. It's so easy to call this behavior flaky or antisocial, right? But what if it isn't really a choice you're making at all? What if it's actually a deep, wired-in response to feeling completely overwhelmed? And that right there, that's the whole game changer. When you're in this mode, your brain is basically treating your social life like extra, non-essential work. It's not you being dramatic. It's a protective mechanism kicking in. And just understanding that is the first big step. So why does this even happen? Well, it really all comes down to how your brain manages its energy under pressure. You can almost think of it like a medic on a battlefield, performing triage, deciding what's most urgent and what can wait. And this behavior actually has a name. It's called protective withdrawal. See, your brain has a limited amount of energy, which we can call cognitive bandwidth. And when it senses a major threat, like huge stress from work or some personal crisis or just total burnout, it starts aggressively saving that energy for whatever feels most urgent inside your own head. What's so fascinating here is the comparison. On a good day, your brain has plenty of juice for stuff like focus and managing your emotions, all things you absolutely need to be social. But when you get stressed, those exact resources get rerouted to deal with the threat. Socializing, it turns out, is cognitively expensive. It takes a lot of brain power, and it's often the very first thing that gets cut from the budget. So what is actually going on inside your body and your brain that makes you retreat into silence like this? Well, there's a very clear biological chain of events that gets set in motion. And this lays out that chain reaction perfectly. First, some kind of stressor hits you. That makes your stress hormones, like cortisol, spike, putting your whole body on high alert. Your brain's main job then becomes one thing: save energy. And like we just saw, the easiest line item to slash from the energy budget is all that effort it takes to be social. This is exactly why something that seems so small, like just texting someone back, can suddenly feel like climbing a mountain. Think about it. Every single message needs a decision. You have to interpret the emotion, you have to craft a response. When your system is already maxed out, those little demands just feel incredibly loud and heavy. They use up bandwidth you just don't have. So to kind of sum it up, there are three big things pushing you to go quiet. First, your body is physically buzzing on high alert from stress hormones. Second, your nervous system is basically screaming at you to do the lowest effort thing possible, and what's lower effort than just being alone. And third, and this one is huge, a stressed brain is way more likely to read social cues negatively. So a simple hey text can feel demanding or critical, making interaction feel not just draining, but actually risky. And this brings us to the central conflict, the real paradox of it all. Because even though pulling away feels like the right solution in the moment, it can end up creating a way bigger problem down the road. This chart just shows that trade-off perfectly. In the short term, yeah, withdrawing gives you a ton of relief. It quiets all that noise and gives you a chance to stabilize. But the cost is that you risk cutting yourself off from your long-term support system. The very people who can actually help you recover from whatever is stressing you out in the first place.
Okay, so how do you break out of this cycle? The answer isn't to just force yourself to be social when you don't have it in you. The key is to lower the cost of connection, to make it feel manageable again. So let's look at a really simple, practical toolkit here. Instead of vanishing completely, you can try one of these super low-energy moves. You could send a quick check-in text, something like, "Hey, feeling overwhelmed right now, but I'm thinking of you." Or you could set a simple boundary. Maybe say, "I can't really do phone calls this week, but I can read texts." Or, "Hey, just pick one safe, trusted person and give them a quick update." These little things keep the connection alive without totally draining your battery. So let's end with this thought. Just understanding this pattern in yourself is really powerful, but taking one small action is what really starts to create change. It protects your energy and it protects your relationships. So what's one tiny, low-cost step you could take to stay connected, even when your brain is telling you to hide? Just remember, this response is a feature of being human, not a flaw. And knowing that is how you start to navigate.